Hey, what's up, guys? Kyle Gown back with another video, and today I want to do my Naruto review, episode 34 review, English dub. So here it goes. Episode starts out with uh, every, uh, everybody else helping out with Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke there. They're helping them out and stuff like that when they or in the fight and stuff like that with it. Naruto looked at Sakura saying like what he's like what happened to you, Sakura, and stuff like that, and then and then he was like trying to be on a rampage and shit like that, and he says some crap to Rock Lee there, and Sakura's like saying she's like don't say anything to she's like don't say anything bad to Lee and shit like that. She punches fucking Naruto in the fucking face and shit like that. She punches Naruto in the face and shit like that, saying don't say anything bad to Lee and shit. um, they were asking, or Neji was actually thinking how Sasuke got this massive power there, how he got this massive power from the curse mark and stuff like that, how he got it and shit. They're like, he was like thinking and stuff like that. It's like how he got this and shit like this, how he got this fucking power and shit like that. There were some funny scenes where freaking or Ten was trying to wake up Rock Lee. She was like, Lee, don't do this and this and stuff. And then she's like, well, she's like, hey, Ten and shit like that. And then she's like, well, she's like kind of like worried about like what actually happened to Lee and shit like that. This when that was going on with that shit, when that was going on with that shit and stuff like that. Um, the next scene, freaking, we see Kiba, Shino, and Yatta there. We're trying to figure out how to do it, stuff like, or how they're trying to figure out why Akamaru there, the Akamaru was like actually like shaking and stuff like that. Um, from what they ever saw and stuff like that with it. We see like a flashback where they actually run into Gara and Garo's. They actually ran into like Gara there, Gara, Tamari, and Kokoro there, and freaking they were fighting, or that technically Garo was fighting against these freaking I think it was like these rain ninja or so. So they were attacking Gara there, but Gara was protected by his like sand there. He was protected by the sand there and shit like that. And then they're like, "What the fuck?" and shit. They're like, "How the fuck you're getting fucking protected by this and stuff like that?" And Konkoro was like actually explaining that to the rain ninja there. He was actually explaining something to him, saying he's mostly protected because the sand hardens and stuff like that, and it will. If any attacks tries to go after Gara, he was mostly protected by the sand. So around the gore and stuff like that. So he was saying he was protected around the sand and stuff like that. And Gara was like, he's like, well, he's like, I will see your. He's like, he's like, I'll come back at you with blood and shit. So uh, Gara, we finally get to see Gara actually use one of his moves there, and he's sand coffin there. He picks the guy up and fucking crushes him. He fucking like crushes him with the sand coffin there, and totally like killing him off and shit like that. He totally fucking kills him off and shit. Conqueror was actually saying something about he's like finally we got the earth scroll and the heaven scroll there and shit like that. And then but Gar's like he wanted I want he wanted more and shit like that. That's what he was saying. He wanted more and shit. So freaking Gora was saying something about he's like he was like saying some shit. He's like, if you get in my way, I will kill you also. And he's telling that to Konkoro. Konkoro was like saying, he's like, hey, he's like, don't dis, he's like, don't disrespect your older brother and shit like that. That's what Konkoro was saying. And then he guard this didn't give a fuck there. And then he kind of looks like Garo kind of looks like he was gonna attack somebody, but he just technically was picking up the damn cork and putting it back on putting it back on the jar and shit like that. When that was happening with that shit, uh, we see Hinata, Kiba, and Shino finally get to the tower and shit like that, and they were saying some stuff around it, saying Sugar, uh, uh, Akamaru is still shaken up and stuff like that. And they were saying he was still shaken up and shit. And then when that was happening with that, we finally see uh, Gara, Tamari, and Konkoro finally get to the tower also. And then looked at him there and said they just looked at him pretty weird and they're like, oh shit, we're gonna be fucking next and shit like that. And that's what they're afraid of and shit. And technically, we finally get to the processing examiner, and then they were talking about Gara there, and they were talking about they were talking about Gara there, saying she doesn't trust him. The parts examiner doesn't trust him and shit like that. She's like, well, look at him. He doesn't have no scratches on him and stuff like that. And wait, how they're like that's impossible with all the stuff is in the force of death. There's like there's poisonous bugs. There's deadly animals and stuff like that in the forest of death, and they're like how they didn't got like a scratch on them, and mostly Gar, mostly they're like what the fuck at first. The Protestant examiners are like, what the fuck at first. How the fuck he escaped and stuff like that, and they finished in a certain amount of time, and then they said they didn't really want to trust him and stuff like that, and that's where the episode ends. So, yep, that's pretty much it. Comment, rate, my response on to this Brown videos. We like my videos. Please subscribe, hit that bell notification if you want to see more uploads. Comment, my response on to this Brown videos. We like hang up. Out of your peace.